My man's Emile Smith-Rowe put the Nando Saka sauce to the side, bro. He put the peri peri chicken to the side. He said it's time to ride, bro. ESR Hive, we are still alive, baby. What's going on, everybody? It's full-time trip. We're back in the building. Arsenal 2, Luton 0 at the Emirates Stadium. We go back to the top of the table. Another 3 points in the bag. In, again, the next step in this run-in to the end of the season. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. But let's talk about the game today, man. Let's get into it. Listen, first and foremost, 3 points in the bag. Breathe. You know what I'm saying? We move game by game, week by week. We keep moving. That's another 3 points in the bag. Again, really solid game. Pretty much something that was a little bit boring in the end, honestly. Not too much to handle at the end of the game. I feel like we again did most of our damage in the first half. You know, we did all of our damage in the first half, and then this second half was kind of a snooze fest. But it is what it is. You know, we move. But I just want to talk about the games today, run through it. Before the whistle blew, there was a lot of, again, hullabaloo, you know what I'm saying, the words exchange and stuff like that, all the tweets going around on Twitter or X about, you know, just the rotation, the level of rotation, why we're rotating so much, maybe we over-rotated. And listen, this is my opinion. When you look at last season and how we didn't have enough depth and how that cost us in the end, you know, with injuries, again, to Tomiyasu, Saliba, having to rely on Rob Holding, having to, you know, again, not be in the place that we want to be. I feel like how we've come through this period, how we've navigated up to this point so far in the season has been masterful with how we've used our players, with how we reintegrated players back into the team. And for this run-in, we're gonna need everybody. This is an Avengers call. This is a Nick Fury, you know what I'm saying, calling in the team. This is a on your left. The portals are opening. We need everyone firing. And so the fact that we need everyone firing, using this game to platform a lot of our fringe players, squad players, people coming back from injury, to give them minutes, to help them sharpen, again, their rhythm, help them up their confidence, and give them a chance to, again, really set the levels for themselves. And, you know, again, have a bit of a better feeling going into these other fixtures in the rest of the season. That's important. That's very important. I feel like this was the best game to do it. So I don't think we over-rotated in any sense. When you look at these games and you look at, you know, every game is important, absolutely, but when you look at the outlook of the season and how intense and how congested the schedule will be, every player, every possible solution that Arsenal Football Club can have to solve a game needs to be there, and it needs to be in prime condition. Every single person, every single solution, every impact player, no substitution, whatever you want to call it, we have to be ready, we have to be called upon, we have to be in flow state, or else something could go wrong. And whenever things might not even out, that's when we have to look at to those people who played today, who started today, who might be on the benches in other games, and that's who we have to rely on to help bring results to their natural, you know, hopeful end, which is full points to the Arsenal, the best outcome for us. So us sharpening again some minutes and sharpening the toolkit and being able to, again, reintegrate people back with this 90 minutes that we played against Luton, that was the best time to do it, and I'm glad it came off to that effect. A lot of people had some really good cameos, got more minutes under their belt, and again, it wasn't necessarily an easy game. You know, we had times attacking and times defending. We had a lot of different scenarios throughout the game, and I feel like that gave a good account of everybody in the team, all the fringe players who we saw today. And again, it was good rotation. Got our goals, clean sheet kept. We just keep it moving, and you know, it's just as simple as that. It's really as simple as that, and I don't think there's much more that needs to be, you know, said about that fact. We rotated, we did well. Arteta's learning, the squad's learning top to bottom, and every single person needs to be ready, because different games may call for a different solution. One game may call for ESR down the road. One game may call for, again, Tomiyasu coming in if he's not fit. One game might call for somebody we haven't even seen today, you know, like a Fabio Vieira. But that's what these games are for. We have to be ready, every single one. But speaking of the game today, let's talk about it. Simple, man. First half, we were all over him. It was beautiful. Again, it was beautiful football attempting to be played. This felt like a game from last year, honestly, in my opinion. It felt like a game from last year. Games we had a lot of control. Maybe there was a couple periods in the end of the game where we had to just see it through. Maybe it was a little bit squeaky. But overall, we get the job done. I feel like, again, with this being a rotational squad, it's going to be a little bit rough. Things aren't going to be fully in sync. A couple misplaced passes. I think the hallmark of the first half was maybe overhit or not connecting, or the runs weren't connecting to passes that were vertical going forward. There was a lot of forward passes through that last line of Luton's defense, and they were getting broken down really, really easily. We just didn't have the runs to connect, or the passes were maybe a little bit overhit to try and get through. But we were breaking through them fairly easily. It was just the sense of us being in rhythm and in step, and some of the player connections to, you know, do 1-2s or wait to pass and wait for their timing. It just, those little connections were a little bit off. But again, as the game grew, I felt like that got a little bit better. Defending was top notch. You know, when the offense and us having wave after wave of attack in the final ball, relying on defense was something that was pretty easy. That was, again, bread and butter for us. I think that was really good. The only thing Luton really had going for them was a long switch or a long ball to the left hand side, so Doughty can work. So Clark, I forget the young kid's name, but he was probably the best player on the pitch outside of him. And who else that came on late? I can't remember. But that play to the left hand side, trying to open things up, was their best play. After we snuffed that out, the game was pretty much settled from their attacking point of view. I just think we had a really, really solid bog standard game. You know, it just wasn't going to be our greatest, wasn't going to be our most high flowing, but some really, really solid performances to push us through and get the result. That's what we need. And honestly, if you want my honest opinion, this conserves some energy. Probably we could just sit down the low block. They weren't doing too much. You know, we just focus up, we do our thing, and boom, we move on to the next. So for the players' times that we saved, for, again, maybe it wasn't the most intensive game, still a good 90 minutes for everybody to get under the belt but not get too tired. So I loved it. I enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't enjoy the second half. It was kind of boring, but that's fine. I'm perfectly fine if it's boring and we get the 3 points. Beautiful. I'm a-okay with that type shit. So that's wonderful. I gotta talk about just some standouts really quickly. First and foremost, the man of the hour, we gotta talk about him, the Hive stand up, Emile Smith-Rowe. He had a really good game. I think he had a really good game. Exceptional first half. The intensity that we want to see from the French players, the off ball work, the winning duels, the not being afraid to engage in them, the intensity of the press, trying to be more involved in certain different areas. He showed all of those things off the ball, and on the ball, he reminded people why he is such a coveted profile in football, in my opinion. Again, just very, very tidy, picking right passes, just making himself available at the right times, that burst of pace into pockets. He is such a useful player for us to have in his run-in, and I think he's going to come really, really good again when we have situations with his low blocks and we have to, you know, again, find a way to break through. I think he's going to be very, very helpful in that. You saw a lot of it today. Again, assist today, pre-assist, whatever you want to call it, but he was involved in both goals. Wonderful performance. I'm glad. For the people that said he needed to be sold, I think you got to have a look at yourself. I think this is somebody we need to be careful with, which we've been careful with all of our injuries, but this is somebody I think he can make a lot of special things happen. He has a different qualities in soccer, but he's still one of those hail-end boys that I think can really hit different levels with the right time and an opportunity. So I'm glad he had a very, very good cameo. Pleased to see him back, and I hope he kicks on as well. Partey, I think, had a decent cameo. Not even decent. I think he had a solid cameo overall. I think he had a good game. Vertical passes are breaking people left, right, and center like no problem. I saw a couple of sprints. Maybe the ball got ahead of him a little bit. I remember one he was trying to get like a 1-2 and just kind of ping across the right-hand side. But I'm like, bro, you're not going to do that bell run, brother. You ain't got the legs for that. Save your hamstrings for another time, my brother, please. But outside of that, I think he looked really good in build-up. Just simple, easy, smooth, beautiful movements. That type of fluidity in the build-up, I feel like that's something that we have missed, and I think Partey was a big reason for that. And I feel like Odegaard definitely missed him too, because the same sequence that we saw in that City game of where, you know, he had 2 people approaching him, he just cut right through in one ball. Odegaard did one more pass and we were through on our attack. I believe Trossard was on the end of it. That's how simple it can be. And I think that was a very, very it was a very solid cameo. Again, a couple of risky passes that didn't go his way, but again, I expect people who do risky things generally to have some misses. That's just how it is. I'm not gonna get on his back for how he played and he missed that one pass or it killed. If it did kill us, yeah, we gotta slate it. But you know, it's just a part of how certain players play. Zinchenko's kind of in that same boat. I think he didn't have the greatest game. I thought his defensive work was better than his offensive work in the case this game. I think he rose up for some headers. Again, was really disciplined in certain areas. There's probably one moment he got caught sleeping defensively. Exactly. I think he was on the second half. It was like him and Nelson, or him and Trossard, I think, and then he just like wanted the ball, didn't get the ball, but just didn't turn around to look. But outside of that, I think it was a very solid game from him. Good defensive work as well. Reece Nelson, another standout, at least another player I wanted to mention. He didn't have the best of games, but again, I think he did put himself about. First half he was a little bit more contained, but I think he was trying to make runs. I feel like just that little bit of lapsing connection with the passes and connecting runs onto those passes, I think that was a little bit off, and he didn't have the best of times because of that, you know, mishap across the team, not just him. But I think the effort he put out was very good, tracking back, just being that man to help, you know, some things shut down. I think it was a run from Doughty that was just completely shut down by him. Good stuff from him. Who else was even in the team that was not a regular starter? I can't even remember. Outside of that, you know, Havertz had a solid game. Again, assist, but outside of that, the games where I feel like it doesn't necessarily, you know, it's not going to be a vertical game all the time. You know what I mean? We settled into the game a lot, and I feel like there wasn't too much back and forth exchange or transition. The game that wasn't necessarily his best, but he got another assist, man. We leave here with something, baby. So I'm not mad at that. Trossard had a decent game as well. I think he did better when I think there was moments where he started to drop back a little bit more, be a little bit more central, helped, you know, to push things around and be a bit more fluid in the build-up. And I think that's when I saw his performance improve a little bit more. Maybe it was a little bit let's say, I mean, but that was also a hallmark of the rest of the team as well. I think just a little bit lacking in the decisiveness again in the final third. I hoped for more goals. I wanted it to be more goals, but again, I'm not mad at the 2-0. I just wanted a bit more decisiveness after all those chances that we might have had of the runs at the final third. Would have loved it from across the team, not just Trossard, but that's definitely a hallmark I wanted to notice. Odegaard, that's another standout player I will mention, bro. Listen. This man needs to sell his passes as paintings. He needs to like set them shits up. You know what I'm saying? Put it in a GIF or whatever, you know, put it on the easel, get somebody to commission it for you, blah, blah, but it makes the extra money selling the passes that you make. He's, again, on his day, he's just a magician. Some of the passes that he was making was ridiculously good, ridiculously effortless. And I really enjoyed what I saw from him. Good work rate as well. Just a solid performance overall. That's all I'm here for. We rotated our players, we sharpened the tools in our toolkit for the rest of the season, and we got the 3 points and a clean sheet. That's all that's needed today. We don't need anything extra. This is wonderful. That's what I love to see. We have to move. That's it. We on to the next, baby. Top of the table right now. We'll see what happens in the City game, which I think is 3-1 as of this recording right now. Hopefully, you know what I'm saying, I don't expect anything from Villa, but hopefully things could turn around. Then we got Liverpool tomorrow. Yeah, and then the weekend games. So we'll see what happens. There's a lot of stuff to go. Brighton is up next. I think a very different game to how you know, this one went. It will be a very active one, very active pressing, a lot of bold movements from the Brighton team. I'm hoping that Saka can be back for that, but Martinelli coming on as a right winger might be it could be a foreboding sign for things to come. I don't know for sure. I don't want to disaster plan anything, but Martinelli's last 2 cameos being at right wing might be sending out a little filler sign to me, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully that's not the case. But yeah, I think our starting 11 will be there for the most part. Hopefully we can settle that game early and get some rotation, because Bayern is next week and we got to be ready for Bayern. But yeah, let me know how you guys felt in the comment section below about the game, about performances, how you felt about them, what's right, what's wrong, all that good stuff. Let me know in the comment section below. And with that being said, we got to get up out of here, man. That's my time. I've been full-time Trip, and we will see you all soon. COYJ.